So, hey everyone, welcome to Bright Labs. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through some exercises on addition using the commutative and associative laws. And these are super important rules in algebra that help us rearrange and regroup terms when adding and subtracting numbers or expressions. So let's write our first problem over here. So what we have is a plus b plus, instead of parentheses, c plus d is equal to, inside of parentheses, a plus d plus, instead of parentheses, b plus c. And now what we have to do here is we have to figure out if this expression over here is equal to this expression over here. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use associativity and commutativity. So, and sorry for my English over there, but yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna write over here. So over here we have a plus b plus c plus d, and we have these two inside of parentheses. Now what we can do is we don't have any minuses to worry about over here, so we can just write this as a plus b. Now so we have this plus over here, and when you don't have a sign in front of a number or a letter that you may be using, since we don't have anything over here, we can just see this as having a plus in front of it, same as this one. It already has one, but yeah. And since we have a plus sign in front, and we also have a plus sign and a plus sign equals a plus sign, and what we can write this as is plus c and plus d. Now what we can do is we can just rearrange these terms, so because it's the same. So if we had, for example, numbers over here, so like a b3, for b we can have 2, for c we can have 1, and for d we can have, I know, 4. If we had 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 4, so that's 10. Now if we wrote this as 3 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2, perhaps what we will get is also 10. So what we can write this as is a plus d plus b plus c. Now what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out if this one over here is the same as this one over here. And now since we have these over here, we can just put parentheses over here. Now if that confuses you, let's try and unpack these parentheses again. So what we'll get is a plus d. We have a plus sign, we have nothing here, so it's in front of b, so it's basically a plus sign, so a plus b and plus c. So it's the same with or without the parentheses. So let's get started with our second problem. So we have a plus b plus c plus d over here, and a plus c plus b plus d over here. Now before you watch, please try this one on your own, see how you do. If you have any questions throughout the entire process, please write them in the comments down below and I'll be sure to answer them. Now what we can do here is first let's get rid of these parentheses over here. So we can write this as a plus b plus c plus d. And now since we have all the pluses over here, we don't have to worry about any minuses. And now, as I've shown you in this example over here, all we can do is we can just rewrite these terms. So a plus c plus b plus d. And what we can do is the same as over here. We can just put the parentheses and we get the same expression as this one. Now let's get on to our next problem. So we will have a minus b inside of parentheses plus c minus, oh sorry, I wrote that incorrectly, but basically we have a minus b inside of parentheses plus c minus d inside of parentheses, and we have to figure out if that's equal to a plus c inside of parentheses plus minus b minus d. Sorry, I have the dots over there, so it's a bit okay. Yeah, I think it's in focus now. So what we're gonna do here is we have these subtractions over here, and what we're gonna do is rewrite these subtractions as adding negatives, and then we're gonna group the positives and negatives. But anyways, so what we have over here is a minus b. Now we can write that as a plus minus b. And now if we tried to unpack this one, what we would get is a minus b. So it's the same, and we can write it like so. Now we're gonna do the same for the expression over here, so like so. And now let's get rid of the outer parentheses. So what we'll get is a plus minus b. And now we have a plus over here and we have nothing here, so it's basically like a plus, and we can write plus c plus instead of parentheses minus d. Now what we're gonna do is just group the positives and the negatives together. So what we'll get is a plus c. We don't have to worry about any minuses. Now we have plus minus b. I'm just writing same as over here, and plus minus d, same as over here. And now what we can do is we can write a plus c as inside of parentheses a plus c plus. Now what we have over here is minus b plus minus d. So we're gonna leave this plus outside. We're not gonna be worrying about that. We're just gonna worry about this one over here. Now what we can do is we can write this as so minus b, and let me show you like this. So what we're gonna do is unpack the parentheses over here, so it's minus b and plus minus d. Okay, so it's like so. And now in the next step, oh sorry for that a, in the next step what we can do is write this like plus minus b, and now since we have a plus and a minus, we can write that as minus d. And yeah, what we get is the same as this one over here. Now what I suggest you do with these kind of problems is try and put up numbers up here, so it's like a little example, so like -3, -4 and stuff like that, and try and see if it's correct, and try and prove it to yourself, and also try and rearrange the terms over here. So we could write this as a plus c minus b minus d. Just try out stuff like that, and I think it will really stick to you. And now for our final problem for today, what we're gonna do is, so we have inside of parentheses a minus b plus inside of parentheses c minus d, and we have to see if that's equal to a plus c inside of parentheses minus inside of parentheses b plus d. Yeah, so again, try and do this one on your own and see how you do, and then come back and watch the video. But what we're gonna do is same as we did up here. So we're gonna rewrite this as addition, so a plus inside of parentheses minus b. And now if we were to unpack this parentheses over here, we would get same as here, so a minus b, so it's the same, and we can write it like so. Now for here we're gonna do the same thing, so c plus inside of parentheses minus d, and now we're gonna group the positives, group the negatives, so a plus c plus, and we'll have inside of parentheses minus b plus minus d. And now we can write this as a plus c, and since we have a minus over here and a plus over here, what we can do is get that minus out, and same as this one we have. So if you inside of parentheses have two minuses or any number of minuses, but the same number as the number of the numbers or letters you would have, then you can basically put those outside of the parentheses, and so what we will get is minus b plus d. And now let's prove this. So what we can do is we can write this as a plus c and minus b minus d. And so yeah,